Welcome back to FlyEaglesFly News, where every play, every highlight, and every move of the Eagles is broken down for you in real time. Today, we need to get into some serious conversation, because the season is moving fast and there are things on the field that just can't be ignored anymore. First off, let's address the situation with Xavier Gipson. I have no problem admitting that I wanted to see him make an impact when he came in, but the reality is he has struggled in a way that cannot be overlooked. The man has explosiveness, no doubt, but when it comes to ball security, it's a complete mess. We saw a fumbling rate that's off the charts, over 30%. And in a league where every yard counts, that is simply unacceptable. Special teams, kickoffs, punt returns, you name it. This kind of risk can swing games and give opponents momentum they don't deserve. Look, there's a reason the Jets let him go. And yet we gave him a shot, hoping the speed would translate into something productive. Unfortunately, it hasn't. There's a pattern now. A series of moments where instead of advancing the team, we're left scrambling because the ball is loose, and that cannot continue. The solution is simple. He either needs to be on the practice squad or find a fresh start somewhere else. We have CVY sitting there, reliable, steady, and ready to contribute. The team needs to maximize what works, not gamble on potential that repeatedly falls short. Moving from special teams disasters to the running back situation, it's time to face the facts about Saquon Barkley. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Last season, he was phenomenal. The guy carried the team, contributed significantly, and played a major role in bringing the Eagles over the top to a Super Bowl victory. But this season is a different story. And as much as it pains me to critique him, the numbers and the tape don't lie. Watching Alt-Wenny to film, it becomes clear that some of the decisions on the field just aren't there. Lanes open up, opportunities appear, and yet Barkley hesitates, overthinks, or makes cuts that don't translate into yardage. The agility and creativity that made him a superstar last year seem muted. And when comparing him to backups like Tank Bigsby, the contrast is stark. Bigsby, running behind the same offensive line, which is admittedly struggling, finds a way to turn plays that should go nowhere into meaningful gains. One carry for 8 yards, another for 10, consistently positive. Aggressive, downhill football. It's a reminder that sometimes the simplest, most decisive approach works best. Barkley isn't suddenly a bad player, far from it. But the inconsistencies this season are impossible to ignore, and the coaching staff has to figure out how to get the most out of both players. Tank Bigsby deserves more reps, plain and simple. If Saquon's off his game, it makes sense to lean on a back who is producing, who is moving the chains, and who can provide the spark that keeps drives alive. The temptation to rotate endlessly or overcomplicate the running game is understandable, but right now the results speak louder than theory beyond the running back debate. Let's switch gears and highlight some of the positives, because the Eagles do have reasons for optimism. Nico Dean, for example, has been an absolute force week after week. He's showing up and making plays that matter. 3 sacks in 3 games is no small feat, especially in a league where consistency is hard to come by. Dean is disrupting backfields, winning matchups, and proving that even after early career challenges, a player can adapt, improve, and dominate. He's not just racking up statistics. He's changing games, creating pressure that allows the defense to capitalize and giving the offense opportunities to take control. The improvement in his coverage, his speed off the edge, and his ability to read plays have all elevated him to a point where he deserves recognition for his impact. Watching him operate, you see a player who has taken setbacks and turned them into motivation, who uses each snap as a chance to prove his worth and lift the team. This kind of performance doesn't just energize the crowd. It sets the tone in the locker room and on the field, reminding everyone that effort, preparation, and execution can translate into dominance at any level. Of course, even when focusing on standout players like Dean, there are other urgent matters that cannot be ignored. The safety position, for instance, is looking dangerously thin, with injuries sidelining key contributors and others struggling to maintain consistent performance. The team faces a real challenge in maintaining defensive stability. Justin Simmons stands out as a player who could immediately strengthen the secondary. Last season, his performance was solid, and given the current roster issues, adding a player of his caliber could be the difference between holding opponents at bay and giving up critical yards and points. While other safeties on the roster have shown flashes of promise, The depth just isn't there, and the combination of injuries and underperformance has exposed vulnerabilities that could cost games if not addressed. The opportunity to bring in a proven, reliable presence like Simmons should not be overlooked, and the urgency of the situation makes it clear that action is needed sooner rather than later. Returning to the offense, the running game remains central to the Eagles' strategy, especially when evaluating the contributions of Barkley, Bisping, and the overall line performance. It's not just about individual talent, but how each player interacts with the blocking in front of them, how decisions at the line of scrimmage affect the outcome of every play. The offensive line may be struggling, and that's a factor, but the difference in execution between Barkley and Bisping shows that opportunity is only part of the equation. Vision, decisiveness, and commitment to the whole are equally important. Watching plays develop, one sees that while Barkley sometimes overthinks or hesitates, Bisping attacks with urgency, finding ways to move the chains even when the line gives him minimal support. It's a reminder that, in football, preparation, instinct, and mental clarity often turn a good system into a great one. Bisping's performance underscores the need to balance star power with situational effectiveness, ensuring the team is getting consistent results every snap. Special teams, running backs, standout defenders, and depth concerns across the roster paint a picture of a team that is vibrant but vulnerable, capable of dominance yet needing adjustments to maximize potential. The Eagles are talented, no question. But talent alone isn't enough. Execution, decision-making, and timely personnel moves are what separate teams that contend from teams that falter each week. As the season progresses, these challenges become more pronounced, and the spotlight falls on coaches, coordinators, and players alike to ensure that the unit is cohesive, competitive, and capable of handling adversity. The margin for error is slim, and every misstep, whether it's a fumble, a missed assignment, or a questionable snap, can shift momentum and affect outcomes. Fans can see the flashes of brilliance, and they should, but the reality is that accountability, strategy, and execution must align for the Eagles to stay in the hunt. The narrative of the season is still being written, and the stories of players like Barkley, Bisping, Dean, and the rest of the roster show the complex, dynamic nature of football at this level. Each game offers lessons, adjustments, and opportunities to refine the approach, address weaknesses, and celebrate strengths. The coaching staff faces decisions that could define the trajectory of the team, from playing time allocations to strategic acquisitions, and those decisions will have ripple effects across the offense and defense. In the same vein, players have to rise to the occasion, demonstrate consistency, and make plays that turn momentum in the Eagles' favor. It's a delicate balance, but it's the essence of professional football, where preparation meets opportunity, and execution ultimately decides the winners and losers. Picking up from where we left off, let's continue examining the Eagles roster and the performances that are shaping the season so far. One thing that stands out is the mix of experience and youth across key positions. Players like Nico Dean are proving that veterans can still elevate a team, but at the same time, younger players are making significant contributions and forcing coaches to make tough decisions. This blend creates both opportunities and challenges, because when you have young talent developing alongside seasoned players, every snap is a test of chemistry, timing, and resilience. The team has shown flashes of brilliance on both sides of the ball, but the margin for error in the NFL is razor thin. And what seems like a small misstep, whether it's a dropped ball, a misread, or an over-pursuit, can have a cascading effect that changes the flow of a game. Returning to the running game, the dynamics between Saquon Barkley and Tank Bisping are worth examining in even more detail. Barkley's skill set is undeniable. Explosive cuts, vision, and elite athleticism make him one of the premier backs in the league. Last season, he used those traits to full effect, carving up defenses and keeping opponents guessing. This season, however, there's a noticeable hesitation, a difference in decisiveness that has led to inconsistencies. Meanwhile, Tank Bisping, who lacks the flash and agility of Barkley, demonstrates a different type of efficiency. Behind the same offensive line, which has struggled in certain stretches, Bisping consistently finds ways to gain positive yardage, turning plays that could have gone nowhere into meaningful first downs. It's a reminder that success in football isn't just about raw talent, it's also about instinct, decisiveness, and the ability to read the field in real time. Bisping's performance highlights the importance of using the right player for the right situation, and it raises questions about why he hasn't seen more carries. Coaches face the challenge of balancing the star power of Barkley with the situational effectiveness of Bisbee, and that balancing act could determine the trajectory of the Eagles' running game for the remainder of the season. Speaking of coaching decisions, special teams have been a recurring source of frustration, especially in kickoff and punt returns. The mishaps with Xavier Gibson underscore how critical every single role is. Special teams can change the momentum of a game in an instant. A fumble or a misjudged return can hand the opposition unexpected field position, and that can translate into points on the board. Football is a game of inches, and the Eagles have seen firsthand how small mistakes can snowball into larger problems. This is why roster depth, personnel evaluation, and assigning the right players to the right roles are absolutely crucial. There's talent on the roster that can perform effectively. The challenge is maximizing those talents in a way that minimizes risk and maximizes outcomes. On the defensive side, Nico Dean continues to be a revelation week after week. His performance shows that he has matured into a player who can change the course of a game. Beating top-tier backs in consecutive weeks demonstrates not only physical ability, but also mental preparation and adaptability. Football at this level requires that players anticipate, react, and execute under intense pressure, and Dean is doing that consistently. The impact of his plays goes beyond statistics. A sack, a tackle for loss, or a quarterback pressure affects offensive rhythm, forces adjustments, and often creates opportunities for turnovers. His growth from earlier struggles to becoming a dominant force shows the power of perseverance, coaching, and experience. It also serves as a model for younger players, emphasizing that improvement is always possible. Even after a rocky start, looking deeper into the safety position, the challenges are immediate and pressing. Injuries have exposed weaknesses and left the Eagles thin in a spot that is critical for both run support and pass coverage. With key players sidelined or limited in their performance, the urgency to bring in proven talent has never been clearer. Justin Simmons emerges as a logical and necessary addition, offering experience, awareness, and the ability to anchor a secondary that is currently under strain. While there are promising young safeties on the roster, the NFL is unforgiving, and relying on inexperienced players in critical situations is a gamble. Simmons represents a stabilizing presence, someone who can read offenses, communicate adjustments, and make plays that keep the defense ahead of the opponent. This type of strategic move could prevent crucial errors, bolster confidence across the roster, and ensure the Eagles remain competitive in key matchups. FlyEaglesFly News family, smash subscribe and hit like. Your support keeps the freshest Philadelphia Eagles updates flying in. Drop your take in the comments and let's talk birds. In a move that has the entire NFL buzzing, whispers are circulating that the Eagles' newest addition, Jordan Love, could be on the verge of completely transforming the NFC East landscape. Sources close to the team hint that Love's arrival might not just be another roster upgrade, but a seismic shift in the way the Eagles approach their offense. The league's insiders are already speculating about the ripple effects this could have across one of football's most competitive divisions. Although the team has kept its cards close to the chest, insiders suggest that Love's unique skill set and dynamic presence could inject an entirely new energy into Philadelphia's offense. Analysts point out that his mobility, arm strength, and unconventional playmaking ability might force rival defenses to rethink their entire game plan. If he clicks with the right system, we could be witnessing the start of something truly disruptive in the NFC East, one anonymous league source told ESPN, refusing to confirm the inner workings of the Eagles' strategy. The buzz isn't limited to just the players and coaches. Fans have taken to social media, speculating about how Love might change the Eagles' identity. Will he bring a high-flying, unpredictable attack that rivals can't prepare for, or is the hype ahead of itself? Fueled by the media and the team's careful leak of strategic teasers, the uncertainty only adds to the growing anticipation surrounding Philadelphia's next move. Meanwhile, other teams in the division are reportedly on high alert. Sources suggest that rival quarterbacks and coordinators are now revisiting game film, trying to anticipate how Love's style will interact with the Eagles' existing offensive pieces. Some insiders claim that his presence alone could shift defensive schemes league-wide, forcing opponents to adopt more creative and reactive approaches. The NFC East just got a lot more complicated, one analyst mused. And all eyes are on how this young quarterback adapts to a franchise with high expectations and even higher stakes. While nothing is officially confirmed beyond his signing, The chatter surrounding Jordan Love is impossible to ignore. The Eagles' front office appears to be playing a careful game of cat and mouse, letting rumors and speculation build momentum while quietly preparing for what could be a season-defining chapter if Love lives up to the hype. It might not just be the Eagles who benefit. This could be a story that reshapes the entire NFC East, leaving fans, analysts, and opponents alike glued to every snap. That's a wrap from FlyEaglesFly News. If you want the fastest Eagles updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Sound off in the comments. Let's talk birds.